Well, the 20-gallon innovative marine reef tank is set up. It's wet. It's got coral and fish in it. I'm going to give you guys a full breakdown on the build today and show you guys everything we got going on. I've kind of already told you guys about the equipment that we're going to use for this setup, so I kind of just want to go over where everything is, the coral placement, and plans for the future of what we got going on for this tank. So as you guys know, this is a 20-gallon innovative marine. We've got this tank set up with all the livestock from my old 10-gallon. I'll throw up a photo so you guys can see what it looks like. We pretty much recreated the same exact structure on this left side that we had in the 10-gallon tank, and then did a similar arch on the right side with this little left side that hangs down. It kind of pulls the pieces together. As you guys can see, this one's in a bit of an S shape, and this one kind of follows that same exact pattern. So I try to do my best with the aquascape. I really have fun in creating different styles and looks with the rocks. So I know you're not supposed to spend a ton of time on the aquascape because the coral will cover it, but for the time being, I like my tank to look aesthetically pleasing, so the aquascape, in my opinion, has to look nice. We also have a middle magnetic frag rack, or I guess live rock frag piece in the middle. Kind of hard to explain, but you can get it off bulk resupply. It's got a little hole in the middle so you can put a frag plug, and I put my Gorgonia in there and it loves where it's at. So that's what we got going on for the aquascape. Got about the 15 pounds of live sand on the bottom. We took about maybe 8 pounds from the 10-gallon reef tank, so a little bit of old biological filtration from the old tank. We are still rocking with the same old stand from Marshall's. This thing is held up, and it was only 100 bucks, so super nice. It's got a bunch of cubbies, a couple drawers, and I've got all my control panels on the left side, which I'll show you right now. On top where it says 77.9 and 78, that's my thermostat. I use that to regulate my temperature. And then right below that where it says 2.9, that is my Mighty Jet return pump and the controller with it. I have had a DC controllable pump before on my 66-gallon tank, but having it on a nano tank is actually much more important because you can regulate and control the flow. I think that's super important. So really nice return pump, and then we've of course got the reservoir for my auto top off. Up top, we bought a second Aquanite LED. That's the one on the right side. This is the LED that was running on the 10-gallon tank. So we've got a full 60 watts of lighting over this aquarium. It's coming from 6 different pucks, so there's not a lot of, dark spots in the aquarium. There's a ton of light all over the tank. There's not a lot of coral in places where there isn't gonna be light, if that makes sense. So all the coral placement I did specifically for flow and lighting, of course, for that coral. We're still moving a couple around. That's why you see the Duncan up top and the hammer coral is closed up. Both of those I had to kind of move around. But we've got the green star polyp on the left side. We've got the Kenya tree on the bottom here. Candy coral, my Gorgonia in the back, the hammer, the mushrooms. This leather is not doing great. I think I need that narrow 3 in here to get some more flow because that leather is not shedding its mucus off of its skin. So we got to get that leather figured out. And then like I said, up top, the Duncan is not open yet, but he's doing really good in that spot. And then the toadstool right here is also doing great in that spot. So all the coral's doing really good. The lights only turned on a couple hours ago, so everything's still kind of freshening up and opening up. So it doesn't look top notch, but I promise you everything's doing great. In the back, we've got my 2 aquarium fans. If you guys want to see the setup on my like heating and cooling system, I believe I have a video on it if you guys want to click back. But if you guys have any questions about that, then let me know in the comments down below. Essentially on the thermostat, there is a temperature probe that runs into the back of the sump. And when the water gets too hot, it will turn off my heater and turn on the fans. And if the tank gets too cold, it'll do vice versa. So that's pretty much the basics of it explained. Speaking of heaters, I have a Cobalt 100-watt heater tucked in the back there. We're not going to pull it out because the arm for this light is kind of pinching the cord, so we'll leave that alone. And then on the right side, we've got my ATO sensor and my ATO inlet tube for the water. Pretty simple. So salinity and temperature is very much stable in this aquarium. I wanted this tank to be pretty much automated. We did stick with the regular return nozzles. I don't want to do oscillating nozzles quite yet. I do have one actually that is made for Innovative Marine, so I might try it out, but I've done the oscillating nozzles before and they're not my favorite. I don't see a benefit. It cuts a lot of the flow back, and sometimes the bearings, I guess, in them get stuck and they make noise. So I don't know, they're kind of annoying. We're sticking with the same return nozzles. And then for the last piece of equipment on the right side, we've got our surface skimmer. So this is an Eheim surface skimmer. It's super simple. It's like 20-25 bucks at PetSmart. I like my water levels really high in the aquarium. This is actually lower than what I normally do, but this is kind of what we're keeping the water level at. But just to keep the surface of that water clean, we have a surface skimmer, and it does a great job of doing that. As you guys can see, the overflow slits for the sump in the back, the water, there's no trickle effect, so we're not getting very good filtration to get that skim off the top of the water level, so we need that surface skimmer for that. For filter material, I've got some biomedia in this back right chamber, and then on this left, or I guess very left chamber, is some carbon, ChemiPure Blue, and filter floss. And then I don't have a filter caddy on that side because my ATO sensor is blocked, would get blocked by it, so we don't have it over there. We just got it on the left side, but that's all the filtration we've got in the tank. Of course, we got all the biological filtration on the rock and the sand, but for mechanical and chemical filtration, just some carbon, ChemiPure, and filter floss. We're still dosing Kalkwasser in our ATO. We also are dosing some fuel as well as magnesium. So we've got the ions there from Aqua Vitro. I've used this for years and years now, and we've got the fuel. This is like a supplemental amino acid as well as carbohydrates, vitamins, and fatty acids. So those are all the things I use. I don't have any SPS in my tank. I barely have LPS. It's mostly softies. So keeping things like that up aren't an issue, especially doing my weekly and bi-weekly water changes. That usually replenishes any sort of supplements or vitamins that the tank needs. But I do dose Kalkwasser as well as magnesium just to keep those levels up. My feeding regimen is about once every 2 days for the fish. I'll just do some pellets and flakes, and then I'll feed the tank once a week. I'll do like a mass feeding of some reef roids and a couple other things for the corals. But that's pretty much it. This tank is super easy to manage. Like I said, I'm trying to get it as self-automated as possible. Besides the feedings that I have to do and the weekly to every 2 week water changes that I do. As for future plans for this tank, I need to get the Narrow 3. There needs to be a little bit more flow in the aquarium. I'm planning on adding it to this back right side and kind of just pushing water across the back of the rock and then towards the front. Since we have the return pump pushing water kind of over the front of the rock, cascading over it, I need some flow behind the rock. And that's why we did our arch setup, so that we could get as much flow behind the rock as possible. So the Narrow 3 should be right there pointing straight at us. Other than that, I plan on adding maybe a couple corals to this side here. As you guys can see, it's pretty bare. And then on this right side of the other arch, a couple more pieces of coral. But other than that, like I said, I just want to leave it alone, let everything grow out, and kind of have it be self-automated. Speaking of self-automated and keeping the tank clean by itself, I want to boost up my cleanup crew as well. I've been kind of waiting for the hermit crabs to die out over time. I started out with about 20 from my Innovative Marine 30 gallon, which is about a year ago, and I have about maybe 2 or 3 now from all the tank transitions and just over time. So I'm kind of letting the hermit crabs die out. I'm not a huge fan of the hermit crabs in a nano tank because they tend to step all over the coral and knock pieces over. What I'm planning on doing is just about maybe 10 snails, and then I have my sand sifting starfish somewhere in here. I want to do a cleaner shrimp, and then maybe a sand sifting goby, but I don't want to add any more fish. I just want cleanup crew members. Other than that, that's pretty much all we got going for the tank. Like I said, it's really easy to manage. I spend maybe an hour to 2 hours every week or even every 2 weeks. It's very little time that I spend on this tank. It's really initially the knowledge that you need to get these tanks going and just kind of spending maybe the extra little bit of money on nicer pieces of equipment so that they work right and correctly the first time around. It's just nice to kind of go the extra mile just to ensure that you have an easy run. You don't get discouraged by the hobby. But yeah, this tank is super easy and super fun. If you guys have any questions about the tank, please let me know in the comments down below, or you can DM me at my Instagram. Link is in the description below as well. You guys can also check out my TikTok. We are growing faster and faster every day on there. And yeah, just check out the content I have on my Instagram. I try to post photos a couple times a week, so you guys can stay updated on there. I post much more on TikTok and Instagram than YouTube, so I just wanted to get this tank on the channel so you guys can check it out. You guys saw it last time when it was dry, and we kind of slightly discussed the equipment plans and what we were going to do with the 10-gallon that was over there, but as you guys can see, it's not over there anymore. We've got everything in the 20s. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.